Good evening from the Saragrahis in UK.
Hi. So today we have blind palm reading. Bhima-Karma has been reading palms for how long?
20 years, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. It's actually how we first met many, many years ago. And I have pictures, photographs of various celebrities' hands. He doesn't know whose they are. And
Neither have I seen them yet.
Yeah. I've had to block out faces and anything that might identify these individuals. And so, yeah, we're going to do some blind reading. Okay, so person number 3.
Okay, here we go.
Right.
All right, pulling it up.
Photos for this person, a few of them are quite clear.
Okay.
You'll be able to see a lot more. So here's picture number 1 of their hands.
Okay. Wow, super touchy person. Wow. Very sensitive person, like mood changes, galore. Very moody. Nonetheless, certainly an intelligent person, a person of refined thoughts. However, the primary focus of this person is undisputably going to be in the social or the middle sphere of life, as opposed to one of the previous hands. I was like saying they're going to be more philosophical, right? They're going to be able to think more in abstract philosophical terms, and their attitudes towards things are going to be more philosophically driven, like what's right and wrong here, what's the meaning of what I'm doing. That's the previous hand. This person is really right. What is the give and the take on the social sphere? What's the relationship angle here? And the sense of identity is going to be more focused in that social sphere as well. Like, how is my social identity faring? And there's going to be really an organization of personal values around that social identity more than the other person I read previously. I was remarking about how they're much more focused on philosophical and thus meaning and value issues for their choices and so on. This person is definitely more focused in the social sphere. Very, very intelligent. So their intelligence, though, is going to be devoted to those types of values. And they're going to be very, like I said, very sensitive. Like hypersensitive. We can expect at any moment. We're not going to know what this person's minds are. It's like a minefield in any conversation. There could be a lot of explosiveness, and it could happen really quickly. We just don't know, and there's some pretty severe dark reactions that are waiting in there. Saturn finger has even a black tone to the middle of the finger where we can see what we call droplets. So there's some definite dark energy in there, and this person is calculating. They're not as concerned about caring for others as they are themselves, and also about kind of getting business done and the exchange, right? What's the nature of the exchange? This person is not jumping to another area. This person is not really so great as there was another person that had, like, see, what the thumb was really bent back. This showed like a real decidedly artistic flair of improvisation. This person's gonna kind of choke sometimes when they're needing to come up with a quick, good response. Their tenacity can be a bit lacking sometimes, and that's shown here by like almost a indentation here on the responsive side of the hand here.
Another picture? I've got a few of them.
Okay. Okay, yeah, Jupiter mount is really good. So this person is definitely a moral person still. and in a social sphere, right, they're gonna be worried about appearing in the social realm, their righteousness socially, right? Do right and be seen as right on the social sphere, not necessarily as much philosophically and ideally and value speaking, but on the social sphere, right? They want to be, in the category of right and wrong in their way of seeing it. I didn't get to...
Sorry.
So that's okay. Any of these? Yeah. Okay, we can go back to this one for a moment. Yeah. Okay. And this person shares something in common with the last one, which is that so this finger here, right, when we're kind of pointing, do this, or I'm pointing, to, this is like our sense of direction. Guru, we call, right? Apollo, sorry, not Apollo, but Jupiter in Western. Brihaspati, the Guru in Vedic. So it's bent towards the Saturn, just as the last one was. So both of these people share something interesting in common. And any of you guys who have like a finger that's a little bent towards the tall finger is going to represent elders, tradition, the people we look up to, the ones who are taller than us, right, in terms of these, right, measurements. And so both of these people kind of tend to live in the shadow of, the elder, tradition, right, and so on. And there may be some resentment and at the same time submissiveness towards those things.
This is the same person, but an older photo, maybe from a few years ago.
It's a very fine fingers. I'm seeing the fineness of the fingers here, right, which indicates like again, the sensitivity of the nature being, can I go back to some of the straight palm pictures? Let me go back to that one with the two hands up again. Okay, fine. Let's see this. This is the same person?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, some naughtiness in the, like I said, the intellectual for sure, capable of detailed, sensitive thought. Let's see here. Yeah, but again, there's some stubbornness in this person. They're not as capable of flexibility in their thought.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be some... let's go to some of these other... Okay.
Same picture, actually.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the longer nails showing some, kind of this kind of feeling, which also can come out as viciousness when it comes out, but it also will kind of make them kind of not speak as readily all the time. Yeah, tend to think, let me go back to where I can see the thumb, see the inner part of it one more. No, not here. A little bit, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, okay. Yeah, definitely diplomatic in speech, kind of they're going to think more than most, a couple times, a few more times about what they're saying. And so with this person, and that goes with the extra concern, that the central concern for the central focus on the social sphere. And when they're talking, when they're speaking, they're going to really premeditate their speech quite a lot. And however, there's going to be these overpowering moments which really can come unpredictably, that take the person out of their normal state suddenly and quickly, violently, into, spewing. Really, they're overpowered by their temper and so on, and they'll just tend to kind of be more vicious, as opposed to usually they're more controlled. So in their normal state, they're going to be more controlled, more calculating in their speech. But then at any time when these kind of outbursts, because of the real high sensitivity of this person, there can be like sudden outbursts that are kind of vicious. And this person, because they're a social creature, will tend to attack the social personality of the other as well, because that's the world they live in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, also some virtuous qualities of this person will be a person who seeks to do right according to their version of it. They want to be seen as righteous, and they will kind of be, at times they could even be blustering, kind of like really speaking from a very righteous stand, using a sense of righteousness, a moral stance to exert their power and their force in the world. And they'll be well thought. You know, that they're not a fool. They're gonna have a good deal of intelligence to bring to bear on things.
Okay. I was wondering about the redness of this.
Well, it's some of these pictures. It's hard to tell. You think all of these are the real color of the hand because they're kind of really blurry. But in those,
because I had to crop it.
Okay,
and
but
then it was zoomed in on the smaller.
Yeah, if the hands are truly that red, I can only assume that the person. It just depends what the baseline is.
Mm-hmm.
But either the person is just in a period of their life where they're burning, they're hot, they're angry, they're boiling with rage,
Mm-hmm.
or right at that moment they're quite upset and it's pent up. It's getting ready to explode out.
Mm-hmm.
They're holding a lot of heat, emotional heat, and the liver may even be affected. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How many have we done now?
5.
5. Okay. Right. Just to prove it, I'm just showing him a hand.
Okay, so this person is pretty much driven by impulses, appetites, and urges. They're very visually oriented. Imagination is what drives them. It's their main tool that they work with. I'd say, more of a tend towards the self in their own space, for sure. Not very good at taking direction or orders from others. You'll get more of their goodwill when we're taking instruction from them. Then we'll get that kind of sense of care when they're the ones giving the protection or the direction here. So let's look at a couple other things. Right, emotions are going to be a bit tough when they're expressed. They're not going to be externally expressed or directly pronounced very much. This is like a straight heart line type of a person, also with a bit of a dark color to the heart line. Their underlying nature, while it's a sensitive nature, they can feel things. Their intelligence can penetrate into some of the subtle layers of that which is being experienced. The external expression and articulation of those emotions is going to be hackneyed and difficult and blunt, and they're going to really kind of tend to keep those true feelings inside, whereas but the top of the fingers, these top portions are fat as well as the bottom ones, so they're going to have a passion actually for totally external expression, the place where the two people meet and they're talking, and that but first of all, the nature of that exchange is going to really be materialistic. It's going to be very imaginative. It's going to be very creative, but basically materialistic, more of a bestial type of a nature. Sensual type of objects will be pursued.
When you mean sensual type of objects, what do you mean?
The nature of their goals and their values are going to, at the end of the day, be for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Appetites, impulses, and urges are the objects they seek in life, and are the things that have the most value to them in life. And so this person will not probably be like a person driven by, you know, faith in a higher being as much, and they'll be very passionate. So back to the other thing, they'll be very passionate about speaking their opinion socially, but that's not how they really feel. They won't really be, they might not even be able to speak to themselves in our clear articulated thought, even internally, about how they really feel about things. But they'll be very steady and reliable. It kind of goes hand in hand like a double-edged sword with these things. They'll be, you know, for the people that they are in relationships with, that they've accepted roles in other people, they'll be very steady, they'll be loyal, they'll be dependable. Brooding, rough, kind of blunt, and not one to feel obliged, but faithful, loyal.
When you said the heart line is darker, what does that mean?
This basically means that there's a depressive nature. The emotions are heavy and weigh on the person, and therefore they can't really be relied upon when we need upliftment. And the emotions that are going to be expressed are going to be of that nature. And this goes hand in hand with the type of a person who's going to not express their emotions as much, because if we're tending to, as a pattern, keep emotions inside more and not express them as regularly and as directly, they're going to build up, and they're going to kind of cook in there, and they're going to condense, and they're going to get richer and denser and heavier. And so that's what we can experience as depressive emotion, depressive emotionality. So the thoughts, this person definitely is a...
More clear.
Yeah. So
There's
I can see some good, clear...
Second picture that's slightly better.
Yeah, I can see some clear lines here.
It's forked.
Yeah. So this is definitely a person who is a very deep thinker. So let's think about a couple of the things we said earlier, that the person is going to be very imaginative, very and the imagination, faculty that we create images in our mind with, and we can really use that ability to create sharp, clear, vivid images. This tends to also be a part of people, an enhanced part of people who aren't as outgoing. They're more gloomy and more cold, to the outside, and more internalized. So one thing that's going with that with this person is they have an ability to really penetrate deeply into the subconscious, into places, levels of thought about whatever they're thinking, that it's difficult for other people to penetrate into that deep of a subconscious layer. What are the actual underground drives that are associated with this thought? What are the deeper, more fundamental aspects of this subject matter? This person will be able to go there, and like everything has like a double-edged sword. It will be extremely difficult for this person, because their line goes so far off to the edge here, deep into the subconscious. It's going to be difficult for them to escape the rational thought that they have used to penetrate into that subconscious with. They won't be able to now feel spontaneous and free. It'll be difficult for them to feel joy in spontaneous feeling and abandon. And so they may feel frustration and even turn to extreme and intense demonstrative activities, trying to reach that sense of being free from rational thought, like bungee jumping and jumping out of airplanes or any kind of... Okay. One more thing about this person here is that they are going to be quick to action. They're an action person. They're going to think on their feet. And furthermore, like the other side of that, they're not going to be somebody who's really good at waiting and planning and thinking things through before action. But their mind is very strong. They can probably plan very quickly with their strong power of imagination and visualization. Okay?
Okay. Right. I think this is the third one.
I believe so.
Yeah. So this...
No. The third one was the person who had the terrible temper. Yeah, this is like
the third
scary,
one.
Scary stuff, yeah. Very, very volatile. You know, and the one who...
I haven't showed him the picture. I
haven't told
him who it is yet.
Yeah, very controlled in their speech usually. Like, you know, they'll think 2 and 3 times because the way they look socially is very important to them and all their social relationships. But boy, there's just so much volatile explosiveness and sensitivity to this person that it'll just, you know, overpower them at many times, I would imagine, because there's just so much sensitivity.
Amber Heard.
I haven't been following all that like a terrible amount, but you know.
I have been. He hasn't been following.
But
it.
Boy, I tell you, you know, without knowing anything about her or you know whatever it is, whatever she's showing in terms of on TV or this and that, that's going to be very important to her. Which is, you know, she's not going to show much there, but definitely in her personal, normal, you know, relationships and life, explosiveness, hypersensitivity, and volatility, man, all the way. Yeah.
I was shocked when you started saying that. When the first thing you said was like, whoa, this person is sensitive.
Yeah,
like,
very sensitive.
And volatile and
it's really related to, you know, we can, you know, have compassion, but there's also a difficulty with responsiveness. And you see that kind of goes with, they're gonna be thoughtful about what they say, this person. They're gonna think 2 and 3 times about what they say. There's a lot of, you know, diplomacy in speech.
Yeah.
They care because they want to be they want to be seen, and therefore they want to be the right person. On that social, especially in the social layer of things. This can lead to, a lot of pent-up emotions and the hypersensitivity, because this is squeezed in, you know, the ability to just respond fluidly. And then instead of, you know, fluidly responding, there's going to be an overwhelming, that intense emotion is going to overwhelm this person and force them to respond in more, you know, volatile, uncontrollable ways. Sorry, Amber.
Well, it's just amazing because you had no idea whose hands you're looking at, and I was just blown away by that.
Yeah.
As I am every time you read hands. But
yeah, sometimes I'm shocked because I've known people for years, and then you know, if I, you know, kind of look at their hands a little more closely, sometimes I just see things about them. Wow, I would have never guessed. You're actually, you know, in private spaces more like this, which is totally opposite what I would have thought.
yeah. And then I think we did this one.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right. This is like, I was kind of materialist, sort of,
yeah,
you know,
the appetite,
very imaginative though,
very much,
very creative, very
yeah.
rational, very deep thinking, but you know, probably I guessed kind of could be like atheistic more in their outlook on life, impassioned, externally expressed, these type of things. Yeah.
Johnny Depp.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Wow, I would never thought of his hand like that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's quite small, isn't it? Like fingers are quite short.
Yeah, but very artistic for sure.
And
but
imaginative.
He's almost hedonistic though.
Uh-huh.
Remember I said like appetites, impulses, and urges are what drives this person, and it makes sense with all the addiction.
With him saying he's been spent most of his life addicted from a child.
And I imagine that has I imagine that has a lot to do with you know, he can't escape the deep rationality that has pushed so far into these dark areas of the subconscious.
Right.
Because that's where his consciousness lives a lot, in the, you know, Moon and Venus and stuff like that.
And you mentioned about the dark heart line, and you were talking about depressive and that he won't necessarily...
It's very difficult for him to... So I imagine for also with, you know, Amber or whatever, you know, somebody who's highly sensitive it probably needs a lot of, you know, gentle, like it's just the dead opposite. It's like they were just made to...
Yeah. And you mentioned that he's sensitive, he has a sensitive nature. Yeah. But I mean, you would, from what I understand, you're talking about it slightly differently. Like she's sort of sensitive in terms of the volatility. He's sensitive in terms of because you're referring to his heart line? Well, yeah, he's less expressive emotionally, I said. Right? He's not going to express it as much. He's going to be loyal. Right? He's going to be there for the, like I said, he's going to be there for the people that count on him, that he's entered into relationships with. He shows his support through non-verbal action. You know, I remember one guy was saying about how he's the artist guy who he put up in an apartment, right? Oh, he had a few people in his apartment for free. Okay, that kind of stuff. He wouldn't even say it. Generous. He probably wouldn't want to talk about it. He would probably he might even cut the guy off if he wanted to talk about it too much. Don't mention it. No, really, don't mention it. Just, you know, leave it alone. So that might be like that a little bit. Can see so much about a person from these kind of things, a lot more than just together. So, yeah, this is a science. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're done for today. Okay. Thank you for joining us. Saragrahi, looking for the essence in things. And we'll see you next time. Maybe with some more palm reading. Let's see. And some other stuff. Yeah, there's plenty of stuff. Yeah. All right. Have a good night from England. Jai Shri Krishna.